Welcome. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM, because our engineer uses that button, and because he likes the word and. You listen to the Ask Brien radio show, and I know many of you may have not listened to the Ask Brien radio show. The Ask Brien radio show is basically part of the Ask Brien network. Before we go any further, I want to introduce my special co-host. His name is Mr. Alex Grossman. Alex, did I get your last name right?
You were close, Mr. Brien Johnson. Thank you. And I don't know about being special, but in today's world, I just hope everybody out there in viewerland is healthy and safe, and we all stay that way.
Well, that's a very important fact. In fact, our guest that we're going to have on today, which we will be introducing shortly, has a lot to do with coronavirus, has a very, very unique concept and product that is going to be helpful to everybody. So I think that if you're a listener, you should make sure that you at least listen through most of the show or the whole show and at least get an idea of what our special guest has. But it's a very, very interesting product that's going to be first being offered to the public today. So I would expect everybody to listen to that. But before we go any further, and our engineer, any further ado, okay? My engineer loves the word ado. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe because it's spelled kind of oddly. And we like to play around with our engineer, Mr. Patrick.
Hey-o. What's up, everybody?
Hey, okay. So, for those of you who have not listened to the Ask Brien radio show before, we try to solve business problems. That's the goal of the Ask Brien radio show, and it's spelled with an E, not with an I-A-N or Y-A-N. It's spelled B-R-I-E-N. And we actually have been around for over 4 years now, over 3 years on the radio, dating back to December 2016 was our pilot. And basically, we're part of the Ask Brien network, which is AskBrien.com. And Ask Brien basically is a situation whereby we help business owners solve business problems through either our industry business community network, where one dry cleaner in Texas may ask a dry cleaner in Alaska, how are you surviving under these stay-at-home rules? And what have you done that's been successful promotion-wise? Because nobody's going to work anymore, they don't need any dry cleaning, and that's one part of the Ask Brien, and anybody can sign up for that and become part of our group. Then we have another part of our group, and that is the Ask Brien Experts. And Mr. Engineer, if you want to be an expert on Ask Brien, what does the E stand for in Ask Brien?
The E stands for excellence, expert, empathy, effort, and then my personal favorite, the engineer itself.
Well, we could actually do everything. The engineer part is kind of like we're just kind of trying to make you happy and make you feel good. It's kind of like an ego boost, but yeah, we could do everything without the engineer. But that was a good start.
All right,
anyway,
I'll take it.
In order to become an expert on the Ask Brien network, you need to have 10,000 hours of work in one subject area, or have something that you've done extraordinary that is an unusual thing that may not require 10,000 hours. The reason we use 10,000 hours is typically 10,000 hours is 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year is 2,000 times 5 is 10,000 hours. If you've done something for 5 years, you probably have an idea of what you're doing, although that's not always the case. I mean, there are people out there that have that, but don't. We vet everybody, and if you do get selected to become an expert, you are allowed to post your ebooks, your webinars, videos, etc. on our site. Without any further ado, my engineer's favorite new word, we have a very special guest. And our guest, his name is Mr. Arim Martin. Is that correct? Or did I say that incorrectly? Hold on. I'm not sure that I did.
Martin.
And your last name is spelled Arim. Is that pronounced Arim or Arim? How do you pronounce your last name?
That's close enough. Arim, E-R-I-M.
Arim. And Mr. Arim, so first, I know we have an agenda, and I don't believe in agendas. Alex does, so maybe he'll ask you some of those questions. So my first question to you is, what is the name of your company, current company that you have right now?
Okay. I mean, if I may, even before I answer that, I just want to sort of make sure that everyone there at the station, your family, listeners, are all safe and healthy during these unprecedented times. So extend that, and thanks for having me on the program as well. But the name of the company is CrownStar Bio Corp, and our product is Crown Armor.
And let's just go quickly with a small background, not too long, but how did you get to Crown Bio? I mean, did you just start out, okay, hey, 25 years ago you said, hey, I'm going to start Crown Bio, or what did you start with and how did you get here?
Okay, well, that can be a long answer. Yeah, I'll try to keep that short. So I, as with many entrepreneurs, have sort of an entrepreneur story and legacy. Mine starts with working in a number of different food and beverage product areas, all very much in the natural sector, having worked on approximately 16 such products, food, beverage, wellness. And from that activity, we found ourselves involved in some advanced ingredients and medicinal foods, and that took us into a number of sort of important relationships with research universities. So we were involved in commercializing some products, sponsoring some research, and from that, our sort of first foray that took us down this pathway, we were exposed to some discoveries of how micronutrients and phytochemicals can elevate the health of people on the autism spectrum. These were natural and botanical-based solutions. So the pathway started for us a couple of years ago when we formed a company called Beautiful Bio Solutions, LLC, to develop products to help children with behavioral disorders. And as we were launching that product line in this time frame, our inventor and medical clinical advisor came to us with some product concepts that were really direct to what's going on with COVID-19 right now. So a little sort of a transition happened there. So we have our team with a background around natural products, going down a particular pathway, and we are now pivoting and migrating into this subject matter, which is so topical today with everything that's going on. I don't know if that's sort of helpful with a little bit of the background. I can delve into that a little bit more if useful.
Well, so when was this company, what year was this company launched?
The current company, CrownStar Bio Corporation, is literally just a matter of weeks old.
And is that? But previous to that, you were working on other issues. One of which was I thought you mentioned at some point, maybe this was in our pre-interview or now, you mentioned something about SARS and working on that product or whatever. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. So what we have are a couple of intersecting timelines. Our medical clinical advisor, Dr. Richard Rosenblum, he had been working with us with a formulation for children with behavioral disorders, and that had been going on. He came to us in the fall and said, team, I have an idea. I have a product that I have developed that is a lozenge, and I think this could be great for these children with behavioral disorders and their food issues and what all, something we could introduce before the flu season, this flu season that we're just finishing up. And we looked at that, we thought about that, and we said, no, let's leave that. Maybe we'll come back to that next year. It's a great concept, but let's stay with the product format that we're looking to launch here shortly. Then all of a sudden, this news starts coming out of a place called Wuhan, China, in January. Richard comes back to us and says, guys, oh my goodness, this is what I've been working on for 20 years, this independent of us. And he starts sharing the story with us of 20 years of research with other medical team members, including at the University of London and the University of Georgia, where they were developing a formulation that was addressing viruses and coronaviruses, including SARS, under animal model studies. So they're studying this using animal models, and what they were doing was developing products, a formulation that would address issues in the poultry population. So we have, especially in the last 5 or 6 years, we've had a series of epidemics, viral epidemics in the chicken populations, including, coincidentally, very extensively in China. So Richard came to us and said, oh my God, I have 20 years of research, studies, and testing data around this topic of coronaviruses and other viruses. And we have actually even done mask material testing, where they've taken viruses in a chamber, impregnated mask material, face mask material, and then have seen in a subsequent chamber where they effectively eliminated 99.89% of the viruses. So we're rounding that up to 99.9%. So what we're busily doing right now is taking that 20 years of history with research studies and testing data and converting it into a product for the current market in the current situation. So in its simple sense, it is a antiviral spray that if you spray it onto a mask material, whether it's a manufactured mask or a suitable face covering, it will have this effective barrier against the transmission of viruses. So that's sort of the moment we found ourselves at.
And how do you know, okay, so for instance, for coronavirus, okay, that is a set of different types of viruses, and the COVID is one of those viruses. So if you have something, does this work against every single coronavirus and COVID is included in it, or is it just working for COVID?
Okay. So great, pertinent question. So COVID-19 is the 7th of a series of RNA coronaviruses, SARS, MERS, H1N1, among others. So we have tested the product against many of the other coronaviruses and have found it to be effective in this formulation. It has not been tested against COVID-19. Our team feels that it's very likely to be effective with COVID-19 as well. We are very eager to test it with COVID-19. We have a dialogue going on with some folks that are working with the NIH laboratories. We're trying to identify one or two of them that will rapidly allow us to do that testing. It has not been tested directly against COVID-19. That is the case, but we're hoping to have that testing, and we do have a scientific thesis that we'll be happy to discuss with people in the medical and scientific community why we think it's likely to work against COVID-19 as well.
So, when do you think you'll have data regarding the COVID-19, and how do you get that data? I mean, don't people have to actually, I guess, put it on their mask and try it out first to see if it works or not? I mean, how do you do that?
So we have the data for viruses generally. We have the data for coronaviruses other than COVID-19. We have data that presents the scientific thesis on why we think it would work on COVID-19. Now we're hoping to, the good news is, a year ago, developmental projects at, FDA, NIH, and, other government groups, et cetera, might be a little bit more of a long-term effort. Things are moving so quickly because the government is looking for countermeasures and any solutions that are relevant and helpful under the pandemic. So we're hoping that we might be weeks away from having a direct COVID-19 test. We are also in a dialogue with the FDA. looking for their comments and guidance. We're not looking for FDA approval, because we actually don't need that, because the formulation is actually natural and botanical, and the ingredients in it are all generally recognized as safe. So these are all terms that create a safety feature to the product, to the formulation. But we're looking for their comments and guidance as well, and hopefully that'll help us with the process of having this COVID-19 testing done sooner than later.
Hey, Martin. So can I ask you a dumb question here? I mean, maybe it is or maybe it isn't. So this is natural, and the use of the product, you can spray it onto the mask. So because it's natural, are you wearing the mask when you spray it on? I mean, because otherwise, you can just take some alcohol, 91, whatever, spray it on the mask, right? It kills everything that's on there. But you shouldn't be, breathing alcohol all day long, probably. Well, depending on who you are. So can you kind of give me an idea how the natural aspect has beneficial components to this?
Sure, absolutely. So sort of a couple of interesting questions there. So the formulation is a proprietary blend of natural compounds. Again, natural, botanical, and generally recognized as safe. The directions, the instructed use from us is to take the mask off, or the face covering material, take the mask material and spray the outside of it liberally, saturate it completely and let it completely dry, which is about 45 minutes. So that would replicate the testing data and the 99.9% effectiveness as a barrier of transmission of viruses. Then you would wear the mask per the mask manufacturer's instructions. So no, we would recommend not wearing the mask and spraying it in that regard. You could get some in your eyes, which is not necessarily a problem, but you need to sort of wash it out with water if you got it into your eyes. So you should find some sort of surface and spray it onto the mask in that manner. Let it dry out completely, and then wear it according to the mask manufacturer's instructions.
And then does it offer some protection while you're wearing it as well, so that it eliminates the virus? If you were to touch the mask, you wouldn't transfer it to your hand, or how does that protection work?
It in effect ineffectuates. It kills the virus when it hits the mask.
Great.
Okay. So 99.9% effective barrier in that regard. Now, you're not protecting your eyes, you're not protecting other parts of your body. So if you touch something and touch your eyes, those are other issues. So we're not protecting the body, we are protecting the mask and creating this barrier. So we've discussed this with a number of people. Again, we're at the very beginning of consumer feedback and marketplace feedback, but a number of people have suggested to us that this might be something significant in terms of Americans safely getting back to work, going about and doing their daily chores. I mean, we're now, we're all going to grocery stores and to the drugstore, and people are just sort of wearing masks everywhere. If this could be an added layer of protection and a sense of safety, we're pretty excited about that. We'd like to sort of get that out there and create awareness with that.
Yeah, I think it's great, that added layer of protection. I'm assuming, and I'm sure we're going to talk in the next segment about your plans for the company and your experience and as an entrepreneur with this, but it seems like this is a no-brainer. I mean, adding an extra layer of protection to a mask you already have, that seems like a no-brainer. Now, taking that one step further, can you talk about these classifications? For instance, I looked on your website. It's a great website. I'm going to give the address. It's crownarmor.com, right? But it shows a surgical-style mask there. People have suggested surgical-style mask and N95. Does this make all those masks more effective, or is it more effective on some than others? How does that work?
I mean, its effectiveness would be across any mask material. Now, as everyone's been hearing in the news, we're trying to stay away from, taking away from the allocations for the health systems workers, these more advanced masks, the N95, the KN95, the N99, et cetera. Our focus, the market that we're addressing, are the low-end surgical masks, as sort of depicted there on the website, on our crownormor.com website, and then other mask materials, including face coverings, so that we can really work with these inexpensive products and make them a higher safety barrier. We don't want to be we don't want to encourage consumers to be looking at this product as something to use with the N95s and some of these specialty masks that are out there.
So this is great. So what I'm hearing you say is that if I buy one of these more stylish masks, call it a cotton mask, this is going to increase the effectiveness of that cotton mask, making it essentially, hopefully, more effective and closer to some of these other masks that are in extremely high demand and, with great shortages. Did I catch that correctly?
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. We'll be right back.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
I'm Christina DeBray, licensed marriage and family therapist, your Santa Clarita Valley trauma and grief specialist. The coronavirus and the new stay-at-home orders have changed our lives significantly. On behalf of KHTS 98.1 FM, AM 1220, hometownstation.com, here's a tip to help your children and teens learn to cope with feeling out of control. Feeling out of control is valid during times of crisis. To help regain a sense of control, give your child or teen some agency by giving them something to control. For example, should we have chili or pasta for dinner? Or should we use the blue plate or the red plate? Or should we take a shower or bath? Stay safe, stay at home, and let's flatten the curve. I'm Christina DeBray, licensed marriage and family therapist, your Santa Clarita Valley trauma and grief specialist.
As the stay-at-home order continues, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
This is Suzette Martinez Valadares. Many child care centers are closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The child care providers that are open are serving our essential workforce and finding it very difficult to find or purchase the supplies needed to keep their facilities clean and children healthy. Our healthcare professionals are fighting to save lives. First responders and law enforcement are bravely serving our community. and our grocery store clerks are keeping our local markets stocked. This is our chance to help them. This is why we are launching Operation Childcare. Our mission is to collect donations for local early childhood education providers serving our frontline essential workforce. Donations needed include hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, disinfectant spray, disposable gloves, and masks. These donations can be dropped off at KHTS Radio, located at 24320 Main Street in Newhall, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome. You listen to the Ask Brien radio show, ASKBRIEN, and you listen to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Thank you, engineer. I'm glad you had the in button, because without the in button, everyone gets bored. We have a very, very interesting guest today, and so therefore we're going to have to go right into our show. Normally I have to give a great introduction to our co-host, to our special guest, but we have such valuable information, and it's on such an important topic that we really need to get out there and make sure that everybody understands as much as possible. It's relating to the coronavirus or COVID-19, depending on which model you're using. Essentially, we have a product here by our guest that will basically have an aerosol spray on a mask that'll give you about 99% protection on the mask. So, and I guess one of the questions we have is, and
I'll re-ask it, Brien, if you want.
Well, we're going to get to your question, but we've had people lighting up the switchboard while we're on break, and that question was, I have an N95, so why do I need any protection? I thought the N95 mask is going to protect me. What do I need to have an aerosol for? And so I said, well, let me ask the CEO of the company and our guest. So, can you answer that question for me, Martin?
Okay. Now we have a little bit of sort of the old expression, apples and oranges. So an N95 mask, which is a particulate mask, often designed for sort of industrial uses, construction sites, etc. The way that it works is a little different than what we are doing with the spray that we're able to put onto a inexpensive material. So we're generally staying away from the sort of the medical masks and whatever, because again, as guidance from the entire community and the government agencies that are active here, we're all we want to be supportive of keeping those masks available for the healthcare workers. But luckily, what we're able to do with our product is to take a inexpensive mask, one of the surgical masks, or a face covering, and make that effective in terms of a barrier to this transmission that we've been talking about. So we can take one of these, as depicted on our website, one of these 3-ply surgical masks, or a face mask covering material. Again, if you liberally apply, per the instructions, the spray application, it will give you that added safety, that barrier. I mean, my excitement and they say anxiety and excitement are one and the same thing. So whatever it is, excitement or anxiety. I mean, during the break here, I was sort of glancing out the window and watching all these people doing their business, wearing masks, heading to a bank here nearby, and what all. And it just, a little bit makes me very excited, knowing that we have this spray formulation that could really provide this added layer of safety, and it's not out there yet. So we want to get that out there, and on a scientific basis, and perhaps on a psychological basis as well, if it gives people a peace of mind and allows them to do their business, go back to their workplace in a manner where they feel safer, That'd be just a powerfully wonderful thing for us to do. So we're eager. That's sort of our mission. We're very eager to get the product, the awareness, and the product out there. And we're hoping to have our first commercial production in May. We're working on samples right now. And again, want to get our first sort of commercial production out there in May.
How are people going to be able to get the product?
We are going to make it available on a e-commerce site through our website, and we are working with a number of business-to-business channels. We do want to prioritize, and we're still sort of trying to understand what the demand will be in this regard. We want to and need to prioritize frontline healthcare workers. So if we have health systems and related parties, companies that are established professional distribution, supply chain into health systems, we want to prioritize that. We've had a extensive amount of early interest internationally. We're not sure what to do with that. Again, we need to prioritize things here domestically, so that may have to wait, but we shall see how that plays out. But we are right now collecting pre-order interest, consumers, and we have a number of business-to-business channel activities going on. We're not collecting money. We're not taking money from anybody, etc. We will sort of sort through what the demand-supply dynamic will look like for us during the month of May.
Alex, you had a question before break, and we didn't really get through that, so do you recall? Or do I have to help you out?
Well, I think Martin answered it. The question was, a lot of people are always wondering, there's a million YouTube videos out there. Take your T-shirt, cut your sleeve off, pull it down over your mouth and your nose, and there you go. You got a covering. Well, that's a really thin piece of cloth, and everybody wonders. There's an N95 standard. How well am I going to be protected with this piece of cloth? And I think you've answered it. Essentially, if you can take that piece of cloth and make it as effective, you've just leveled the playing field. It's pretty incredible opportunity there.
Well, logically, if it works on the cloth, okay, then why can't any product, including in a gown or anything else made of that cloth, it should work for all of those, correct?
So in answering that question, there's sort of a range there. With the mask testing and the data from it, we have a sort of standing position of a face mask material that we were working with, applying our product, letting it dry completely, which is about 45 minutes. That took us with that mask material to 99.9%. Technically, it was 99.89%. We had a lower performance with the barrier to transmission when the product was dry. I'm sorry, when it was wet, or at lower drying periods of time, etc. So what we have is really a degree of the barrier, so that if you have a material that might be more porous, applying the product will give you some added barrier. But if it's too porous, it may not evenly apply. There may be something, I don't know what would be a good example of it, there may be some silk scarf material that the spray application would not really be evenly applied to, would not be as effective. There may be some added barrier, some added safety, but it would not bring us up to those levels. In order for us to make the claim, the representation with the 99.9% effectiveness, we really need to have something that is a corollary to what we're seeing in the marketplace with mask materials, and certainly these surgical 3-ply masks would be would be equivalent to that. We want to do a lot more testing. Excuse me, a little bit of the product direction we're going in. We believe the product will be effective in some level, in some manner, with medical garments, gowns, maybe gloves, maybe boots. But we want to do testing there, and we're looking for ways of doing that additional testing as well. We've been approached by some food services industry people that want to use it for their industrial garments, with people that are going into cold storage and dealing with food items, etc. It's somewhat connected to and resonates with what's going on in today's world with these food processing facilities that have been forced to stay open under federal edict. We want to test all that as well. These are, if I may just sort of share a little bit of sort of product pipeline, these are things that are in the pipeline for us. What else can we test to see the efficacy and the performance of the spray formulation as it exists today on other materials, garments, and surfaces?
And so how are you going to get the word out and get the sales going? Because obviously you want to get this out in May. How are people even finding out about it other than this radio show that we have today? How are people finding out to be able to learn about it?
Well, we're hoping that people in Santa Clarita will know about it. But yes, so we're engaging in a public relations campaign just starting this week. We are working on a number of business-to-business channels with some partners. We will have our website and everything associated with website awareness, social media, and an e-commerce platform there as well. We have a separate group that is going to be working on retail for the fall. The general thinking right now is that we will see a second wave, a perhaps mutated form of COVID-19, compounded with the regular flu season. So as much as we feel great pressure to get a proven product out into the marketplace right now, we are also working on what kind of anticipation and what kind of opportunity there may be to get this countermeasure into the marketplace for the fall, winter flu season as well. So we're doing our best to create awareness, and we'll see what happens in that regard. We also need to have awareness within the government agencies and the government circles that are relevant to this as well, as we are trying to do with FDA and with NIH currently. And
but back to my earlier question, does the N95 without any spray or anything on this provide any protection, or is it just that it's thicker or more durable, or what's the status on the N95 mask and other non-cloth masks? I mean, you mentioned silk, you mentioned some of these other products, but I mean, if you wear an N95, is that going to give you more protection without this spray, or would you anticipate that they'll need to use the spray to increase the likelihood that they don't catch anything?
Yeah. So the N95, is a certified product, by the government, et cetera. So it has its own performance parameters. I would refer you to the manufacturers of the N95 mask to answer that question. If it were sprayed with our formulation, it would add another layer of safety. There's very little question about it. We're not addressing that market. We're not targeting that again, as I mentioned before. We're more so targeting the lower end 3-ply surgical masks and the face covering materials that people are out there with. When this CDC guidance happened a few weeks ago, my blood pressure went sky high when they recommended that everyone start wearing these masks. Literally, it was 12. That happened in the evening, that announcement. The following morning, I did my cautionary foray to do our periodic grocery shopping. Between the last time I had done it, which might have been 4 or 5 days ago, and that morning, we went from negligible face covering to, I saw 80%. I went to 2 different retailers that day, and I've just seen it nothing but grow. I think we're seeing a transformation, a cultural change regarding face mask wearing. And I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon. My wife shared this analogy. She wasn't even alive when this happened, but she knows the story. The story of when John F. Kennedy appeared at his inauguration, not wearing a hat, and the next day tens of millions of American men stop wearing hats. I think we have the converse going on with face masks. So I think we're going to just sort of see that culturally. It's part of the culture in many Asian markets. So we're sort of pretty excited about that. We might have a product that can support that and reinforce the culture of face mask wearing.
So Martin, let me back you up on one thing here. When we look at an N95 or N99 mask, a particle mask, it has multiple layers that trap the particles, right? I mean, I'm not going to go highly technical in here, but they trap the particles. From what I understand from what you said,
way past that, Alex.
Is that your product actually kills the virus. So there's a difference between trapping something and killing something, right? So that would have a benefit. I'm not saying an FDA benefit, but that would have a benefit that the virus is killed, right? Isn't that better than trapping it?
Making the virus ineffectual is obviously a good thing, especially if you're able to do it at a high percentage, at a 99.9%. Obviously that is a good thing. There is a little bit of apples and oranges when we talk about these particulate masks, which serve a purpose. They have their own certifications and representations. I'm sure there's a lot of testing going on. We don't know. Maybe somebody is doing testing of COVID-19 with a N95 or N99 mask. We would, love to learn any information that comes from that. I think that'd be informative for us as well.
That's great. I had a question about your business plan on this really quick, if I can. So
we're going to be taking a break, Alex. So
go ahead.
Can we just get back? We're just going to be right back. It's 1:50. It was in KHTS 1220 98.1 FM, and we're going to talk about the business plan and how you can get this virus aerosol in. We're right back.
This is Bradley Gross from Santa Clarita Grocery. Santa Clarita Grocery serves fresh groceries to families, individuals, and those experiencing homelessness. At Santa Clarita Grocery, out of every dollar donated, a full 99 cents goes directly to the needs being addressed. As an all-volunteer-led organization, we operate on a 1% overhead, receiving no government funding for our operations in the community, resulting in us being one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. If you're looking to support the good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery. What is donated is specifically kept in the Santa Clarita Valley, helping over 3,000 families, including 5 other community charities. Please visit our website, santaclaritagrocery.org, or visit us on social media or call us at 425-7575. That's 425-7575.
He broke records and piloted the F-18 Super Hornet in combat. Answering our nation's call, he served with honor. Then Mike Garcia returned home to his family, to a far worse California from where he grew up. Now, Garcia's next mission: cut taxes, clean up homelessness in our cities. With California on the brink, we need a fighter to answer the call once again. Mike Garcia for Congress.
I'm Mike Garcia, and I approve this message.
As the stay-at-home order continues, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the law office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the law office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
Chiquita Canyon Landfill takes the waste from our homes and local businesses and puts it to good use. With cutting-edge clean energy technology, Chiquita Canyon powers 10,000 homes each year by harnessing the methane gas from the landfill. So, the next time you wheel your trash can to the curb, feel good that your waste is on its way to making green energy at Chiquita Canyon.
Chiquita Canyon Landfill, our partner in sustainable living.
Owning Corporation, Equal Housing Lender, licensed by the Department of Business Oversight under the California Residential Mortgage Lender Act, NMLS 1797976, California DRE license 02063270. Call 833-852-6464 for terms and conditions.
Crazy things are going on in the world right now, like owning funding 30-year fixed refis at 2.99 rate and APR. Yes, you heard correctly, 2.99 rate and APR with no fees of any kind. Needless to say, people are going to owning.com for this free closer rate and APR like mad. In fact, if you have both a real estate and mortgage license, we may want to hire you. Look, money is so dirt cheap, most folks are taking cash out of their equity to do just about anything, including sticking it into their bank accounts, just to have it there. Wouldn't you be crazy not to go to owning.com and grab 2.99 APR, no closing costs, no nonsense money while it's out there? Call 855-5-OWNING or go to owning.com to not miss these monthly savings. 855-5-OWNING.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show, ASKBRIEN, and you're listening to KHTS 1220, 98.1 FM with my co-host, Alex Grossman, and my special guest, Martin Arim. Now, we had a couple of questions, and one of the questions we had is, so Martin, what is your vision for the company?
Okay, obviously a
big, short period of time.
Big question, right? So longer term, we want to build a brand around this spray formulation. Over the short term, we feel great pressure to get this countermeasure out into the market as quickly as we can. So we are, working on our production schedule. We have our website up. We're trying to identify pre-order interest. If anyone listening wants to, share their name, we will give you information about when the product might be available. You just need to come to crownarmor.com and leave your information. And we are hoping that in May we will have our first manufacturing runs and sort of build from there. We have an important decision for us. We made a commitment, our team, our organization, that any profits that we generate this year in 2020, we will rotate right into free product that we will donate to vulnerable communities. Right now, we're generally defining that as elderly communities in that genre, but we'll continue to monitor that and see what is sort of appropriate. My sister is in the assisted living community, and she's had a big impact on me, so we're very focused in on sort of senior living, assisted living communities as well. We'll try to be helpful in that regard. So that would be a glimpse of the long-term vision and or the short-term vision.
And so what was the address? The web address was
CrownArmor.com. CROWN.com.
Right. And that is how you can get it. Sorry, we had to cut off. KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Thank you very much for listening to the Ask Brien radio show.